Hello, welcome. Okay, so this is my first official YouTube video that I'm filming. I've actually filmed this video like 5 to 10 different times over the past year, or just videos in general of me talking to the camera. But this is the one that I'm posting, okay? You, as my viewer, testament, there's just one of y'all. I love you so much for watching this. And you are my prize. You are the proof of the pudding because you're watching this. So I did post this one. So anyway, hi. My name is Noah. I'm in my mid-20s. And this is my YouTube channel. I've wanted to be a YouTuber since I was in elementary, middle school. And I just never had the confidence to do it, and now my life has changed and I'm living for today and I'm doing it. So the main reason I wanted to come on now is because I had chronic anxiety and depression ever since I was a kid, and I thought that this was going to be something that was with me for the rest of my life, to the point where I had to build my life around it to accommodate how my depression and anxiety affected my life and my relationships. But I've been working really hard on myself, doing a lot of inner work, and I can say that I'm in remission, or I'm beating it. And I hesitate to say that I cured it because that's so clickbaity and so such a simple term to say I cured my anxiety and my depression, but genuinely I feel like a completely different person. I feel whole and I feel at peace, and I just wanted to share my journey because there were times when I thought that it was never going to happen, that I hated myself, I hated my life, I hated the future that I could see. I had no faith in myself or in the world, and that has completely changed. And I just want to share my journey because it's possible. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself first. So my name is Noah. I grew up in Texas. I was born into a Catholic family, so I went to Catholic school for all of my years, elementary, middle, and high school. And I am also come from a neurodivergent family, and a family with a lot of chronic conditions that run in the family. So I have anxiety, I have depression on both my parents' side, some agoraphobia on my dad's side. But anyway, so I was kind of ripe for getting some of it, I would say. Of course, when I was little, I had no idea about any of this, and I didn't know about it until I was older and struggling with these things, and my parents told me about it. But anyway, so growing up Catholic, that's the whole other story, a whole other thing about Catholic school. But I had anxiety a lot as a kid, but I didn't realize that's what it was. I thought everyone was like that. And then I just started developing depression in 4th and 5th grade, when social structures and in school started becoming more complicated. And at the time, I'm also autistic and ADHD, so now looking back, I know it's because I was having a really hard time understanding all these nuances and everything. But I started getting actually diagnosed my sophomore year of high school, and I went on medication for it, and it was helping a little bit. But throughout my high school journey, I just kind of devolved, and I ended up having a really bad bout of depression my senior year of high school, where I basically was not going to school for a period of months. I would go in for a day and then be out for a week kind of thing. And I missed out on a lot of my senior year experiences because of that. And because I was having so much anxiety and so much depression about going to school, because it was an environment that I hated, that I felt horrible in, that gave me so much anxiety. And I ended up I ended up graduating because I was a very good student. I had really good grades. I was always, had a good attitude, and I was able to work with my teachers and get all my work in, and I graduated fine. But I definitely did by the skin of my teeth. I felt like I was, inch just crawling, just trying to drag my way across the finish line. And that was a big change for me because I had always been a very top tier student, good grades, and because of my bout with mental illness, and my school was also very small, so they didn't have any resources or any experience dealing with this, so I didn't have a lot of resources of taking school out, not being present. But anyway, so then I went to college, and when I went to college, I was so anxious about it. But I was like, this is going to be different because I get to control my schedule. I can leave when I need to leave. I can spend my time napping at home and when I'm not doing stuff, because a big part of my problem in high school was just being around all these people all the time, and I was always doing nothing, and I wasn't allowed to do anything, so I was just bored out of my mind, and also with nothing to do, my brain was on overthinking capacity, and so I was constantly stressed about the social dynamics of what's going on, what are we gonna do next, blah blah blah, because I wasn't occupied, right? And so I was like, college is gonna be different because I'm in and out for class, and then I can leave, and then I can be by myself, and I can take a nap, or I can go read, or this is gonna be it. And it was honestly a really great change for me. I loved being in charge of my schedule, I loved all of that, but it was also incredibly difficult. And looking back, I definitely think that I would have benefited from a year off between high school and college just to get my bearings and build up my self-confidence some more. And I had my freshman year of college, it's a big adjustment for everyone who goes to college. And I had some poor experiences that year that I continued to have throughout my college experience as someone who had chronic health issues. And the way that my depression and my anxiety manifested, it was very mental, but it was also incredibly physical. I would get physically sick. My digestion would be all out of whack. I would be nauseous. I would run a fever. I would get chills and also hot flashes. I would shake. My heart would do palpitations, and it's a very physical thing. And I definitely was not being accommodated in the way that I should have been. But I also didn't know how to advocate for myself, and I'm a much better self-advocate now. And I'll do another video on disabilities in college and in big universities, and how the entire system is built on self-advocacy. But disabled people, the whole thing is that they're not able to self-advocate as well as other people, right? So they're not able to be the same proponent for themselves, because for a variety of reasons, whatever your disability is, and it manifests in different ways. But anyway, so throughout my college experience, I was also just getting worse and worse in my anxiety and my depression. I was, holding my life together barely, by the skin of my teeth again, and not well. I was doing okay in some classes and okay in others. But I also had no dating life because I just was so exhausted all the time from just the social and just the academic rigors of college. And because I had to, and then also fucking COVID hit during my sophomore year of college. So I was really threw everyone for a loop, because now we were doing online classes. And then once we got used to online classes, they took us back to in-person classes, and by all the time that the online classes happened, my social meter was so far down. I hadn't been social in so long with people that it brought my anxiety back in full force, times 20. And I had a really hard time finishing my degree, and so I was supposed to graduate in 2022, past that. I still had about 20 credits to do. I was working on those credits, And then in 2023, I was working on those credits, and I had a situation happen in my life that was just shattered me to pieces, and it was my tower moment. And if you're familiar with the tarot, but it's like my tower moment is like the moment that shakes your entire foundation. You fall from the top of the building and you have to start anew. Like everything breaks down and crumbles, and you're left with no choice but to start anew. And I, that whole time I was being incredibly secretive about my anxiety and my depression struggles, because I have a really hard time being open about it and sharing that with people. And I, came clean to my close ones, my friends and my parents, and I told them that I was incredibly struggling and I needed to take a break from school. And I was also working during this time, so juggling those two things. That I needed to take a break from school. I needed to focus on myself. I needed to get back into therapy, because I hadn't been in therapy since I was in high school, because I just didn't have the time for it. And as a young adult, you're supposed to do everything yourself. And I was doing everything for myself now, and I didn't have the time and the spoons and the capacity to do that. And so I was like, I need to get back in therapy. I need to just work, so I can support myself and, not go to school right now. And it was really, really tough, because it was confrontation with my parents, and I was a chronic people pleaser, and disappointing my parents and was disappointing anyone in authority was like the worst thing I could possibly imagine. That and like confronting someone, getting in some kind of confrontation. But anyway, so I talked to them about it, and I came out to them as bisexual and non-binary. I changed my name, so I'm going by Noah now. And I just, since then, I've been on this incredible journey of, really looking inward and confronting these things that I've had issues with, my anxiety. And I finally hit me at this point, this understanding, and I had an enlightenment in March, April of 2025, where everything clicked, and my understanding of my place in the world and the place of everyone as individuals in the world had made a complete understanding. And that was the moment that I was already so recovering so much with my anxiety and my depression, that moment was like the last thing that I needed. And and so I'm coming off of my medication, my antidepressants and anti-anxiety. And so anyway, the big thing that I wanted to talk about is my journey from my tower moment in 2023 till now, and how my entire healing process is completely and utterly dependent on me being the me that I know that I am and that I've always wanted to be. And part of that was admitting to myself that I wanted to be a creative person. I wanted to be an artist. I've always wanted to be an artist. Ever since I was little, I loved drawing. I loved creating things. Art class was my favorite. And I abandoned that dream very quickly when I was younger, because I was told by society that you can't make a living as an artist. The starving artist trope. It's going to be a struggle every single day. You don't have health insurance, you work for yourself. And it's just not the way to go. It's not the responsible way to go. And my realization was that I am never going to be happy if I don't live authentically as myself. And the reason that I wasn't comfortable pursuing this was because I was afraid of disappointing others. I was afraid of going against the grain, of making my own path. But here's the cool truth of it all. You are a unique ass individual. I mean, your ass is unique, obviously, but as a person, you're so unique. And how could your path look like anyone else's path? And that's what I realized, that and the thing is once you start actually living authentically and you speak your mind, the wrong people in your life leave and the right people come in. And even though some of your loved ones might have a problem with it at first, if they truly love you and want to be in your life, then they will be, and they will come around, if that makes sense. And the only way that everything makes sense is that for you to be you. And that's the crazy shit. It's like you tell people like, oh, how did you cure your anxiety? How did you cure your depression? It's like, bro, I just decided to be me. And that's fucking true. Like, whatever your instinct is, fucking do it. Like, there are no rules. We live in this world now where we think there's all these rules. There is no rules whatsoever. If you want to go take off and live in the woods, you can go take off and live in the woods, okay? Like, genuinely, if you want to be a writer, be a freaking writer. And especially now with the internet and technology, we have access to so much information. And I'm going to make another video about this, about how right now we are actually the luckiest fucking generation in the entire generation of humanity because of the internet. And while it's also kind of killing us a little bit, it's also such a good thing because we have access to so many resources, so much information that previous generations didn't have, that they were stuck with their own mindset of the community that they were raised in. But we're so lucky that we can connect with people across the world, you know, in different cultures, and be exposed to different ideas for free and use them, and it can speak to our soul. And it's just so much easier to find these things. So anyway, so I guess I just wanted to, I hope this is good. It wasn't too like all over the place. I think it probably will be all over the place because this is my first video, but I hope that you got something out of it. And if you are struggling with anxiety and depression, just know that the answer is within you. You have everything that you possibly need to overcome this thing. And just because you've had it for so long, like I had it for 10 years, 10 years that I was on medication, 10 years that I was struggling with this, and it's possible. And if it was possible for me, it's possible for you. And your journey isn't going to look exactly like my journey, right? Everyone's journey is different. But if you can get some kind of wisdom into any of my videos that I'm saying, or can relate to me in any way, then, you know, I hope that this helps. And you are enough, and you've always been enough, and all of that mess that you think is you, that you have perceptions of you, that you're ugly, or you're dumb, or you can't succeed, or you're unworthy of love, that shit's not true. That's just what other people have said about themselves and also about other people around you. But that's not you, baby. You fucking shine. You're a bright ass light, okay? You're here to show everyone exactly what you're here to do. And you can do it. And now is the time. And I believe in you. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. I watch another one when I post another one. Thank you. It was so nice to meet you, to spend this time with you. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.